या जस्ट एएसआई सर्च कर रहा है तो भी हमारा वीडियो आना चाहिए, ठीक है? फिफ्थ
Sir, I have made you the host. I guess you are able to share the screen now. Sushil sir, am I audible?
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
morning. Good afternoon. Yes.
Sir, are you able to share your screen now?
Yeah. 1 minute. I will see. Actually, I want to take a lecture from my mobile so that I can write it in a proper way
Okay.
there.
So should I make the other ID as host, or you can make your other ID as host as you are host now?
So, can you make that other ID my ID as a host?
You can only make it now because you are the host.
Okay. 1 minute. Huh? So let it be. Yeah. We will. We will. I will take from this only. Hmm?
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Is my screen visible to all?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So today will be our second lecture in this series. So actually, my purpose is to cover those news which need something extra. That is some basics. Na? I don't want just to read the news like who is the new chief election officer and commissioner like this. So that's why I want the lecture to be in exhaustive way. So I will cover 2 3 topics, and remaining topic, if there are some important topics, we will cover in some recorded format. So here in this video I am going to cover 2 3 important news which happened in the last week. So let us go to our news. So this will be our first news. Yeah. So what you are seeing on this screen? Hello, can anyone read the news?
It's rise in excess SLR holdings of bank.
What is topic? Yes, SLR. So can anyone explain me what is the SLR? So we will do some kind of like interaction type of thing. So can you just me explain, because we hear this term or we read this term lot of times, but very few are able to understand the exact meaning of this term, that is SLR. So can anyone tell me what is the meaning of SLR?
Sir, it is like the money which the banks have to keep with RBI in the form which is other than cash, like government securities or bonds like this?
Yeah. This is like very common. Everyone will give this. But what is exactly that? So what is SLR? Hmm? What is that? That money is you have to keep. That is correct. These are liquidity requirements should be maintained by the bank. So you are na, Vivek, you are telling me the use, but I am asking what is SLR and how it is calculated. How it is calculated? You are telling that yes, that is the purpose. Liquidity requirement, that is the purpose. But my question is what is over NDTL means? Over NDTL means Smithy. Over NDTL generally actually na, I will tell you one thing that it is very difficult. It is very difficult to tell in a simple language. Like Smithy has written over NDTL. So what is the meaning of over NDTL? Can you tell me, Smithy? Over NDTL.
It is calculated as a percentage, like
But you have
over.
written it is over NDTL. So what do you want to say? What over NDTL means?
NDTL is the base for the calculation. Like if we are to calculate as a percentage of NDTL will come as a base. I know that was not appropriate to write, but that's what I meant by saying
Okay,
over
okay.
NDTL.
Percentage of NDTL. So what is NDTL then?
The net demand and term liabilities, all the current account and saving account, all the money that is with the bank, general public.
Okay. Okay, net demand and time liabilities. Yes, Sakshi, it is correct. Net demand and time liabilities. So what is the, for example, suppose the bank has the 100 crore deposits, 100 crore deposits, then what will be the SLR? What will be the SLR? So let us consider all these deposits are demand deposits and time deposits. So what is the meaning of demand deposits and time deposits? So yeah, deposits liabilities, it is correct. That is one and the same because deposits are liabilities only. So what are the demand liabilities or demand deposits? Yes. So demand deposits means that anyone can demand at any time. The name itself gives the meaning that it is demand deposits means you can demand that money at any time, like this current account and saving account. So suppose if you have kept your money in your saving bank, you can go to ATM and you can withdraw at any time. That's why it is called as a demand deposits, and current deposits are also. Yes, and time deposits are FD. So we can call it as a time deposit or fixed deposit. Means you cannot withdraw as per your requirement. Sometimes it's possible, sometimes you can withdraw, but for that they can charge some penalty. Some penalty might be there. So suppose if in a bank, if there are 100 crore deposits, then they have to keep 18%. So at present, what is SLR? So what is SLR? What is the percentage of SLR at present? 18%. So bank has to keep 18% money where and it in which form? So my next question is that this 18% money, what bank has to do with this 18% money? Yes, Tushar, Saili, Smriti. Yeah, government approved securities. Yeah, it is called as a SLR securities. The name of those securities are itself is a SLR securities. Name SLR securities suggests that yes, those are eligible for a SLR investment. So for example, suppose one bank's NDTL is 100 crore, then that bank has to invest 18% of that, means 18 crore rupees in government securities, which are called as a SLR securities. Then you have read about the repo rate. So can anyone tell me the difference or relationship between this SLR and a repo rate?
Sir, one doubt.
Can anyone tell me this difference between or relationship between SLR and repo rate or a repo operation? these are very basic, generally, but read on a very superficial level. Because many times in the interview, in the banking interview like SBI PO or IBPS PO or RBI or SEBI, they generally ask question, what is the relationship between SLR and a repo rate? Yes, Tushar, you have given the meaning. You have written the meaning, what is the repo rate? But I am asking the relationship between the SLR and a repo. So what is the relationship between the SLR and a repo? Is there any kind of relationship between these two terms? Banks can use SLR securities as a collateral. Yes, Smriti has given a little, she's on little bit on correct line. Yes. Smriti, your way of thinking is correct. So just elaborate it. Because now all these terms are related unless and you try to
The
understand.
government securities that a bank subscribes to when in need can keep that as a collateral, meaning repo is basically repurchase option.
Yeah, correct.
So they take money at a rate with a predetermined date at which they will give that money back and take those government securities.
Yes, correct. So in a repo operation, first of all, we have the meaning is correct. Like repo is the rate at which RBI lends to the commercial banks. But for that lending, it is called, yes. No, Nina, it is not like that. Repo is less than RR. So you are just comparing the percentage. So when any bank do any operation in a repurchase agreement or repo operation, then it is called a repurchase of securities, and that securities are the SLR securities. So for example, suppose if
Hello.
one bank,
Sir, am I audible?
yeah,
Sir, I'm sorry, but like I have one doubt here.
yes, correct.
So like as you were saying, sir, that generally the security that's been kept in SLR. So in LAF window, I don't think commercial bank can use it. So only they are allowed to dip into their SLR quota when they are borrowing from MSF window.
No. Suppose, for example, I will explain. I am explaining this repo and everything. So for example, in repo, for example, it is repurchase agreement. Suppose present SLR is 18%. And if I have, my SLR is only 18%, then I cannot take part in this repo operation because I don't have excess SLR. Because when I have to take part in the repo operation, I need to give the SLR securities to RBI. So in this case, I don't have any extra SLR available with me. So that is possible. Suppose if my bank's SLR is 20%, in that case, this extra 2% securities I can use for this repurchase agreement. So I will give these SLR securities to RBI and I will take loan, and when I have to repay the back, then I will purchase those securities, and the operation is reversed. That is called as a reverse repo. And there is a one term that is called as a marginal standing facility. So can anyone explain what is the MSF? Yes, Sakshi, you have written as a MSF.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when a bank borrows money from RBI while keeping
correct.
their SLR bonds as collateral, then it is known as MSF.
No.
Marginal standing
So MSF is that marginal standing facility. It is used when, for example, in this case, suppose if any bank doesn't have extra securities to take part in a repo operation, in that case, RBI has given this kind of a special arrangement. And this special arrangement, bank, there is no need to give any extra securities, or they can reduce their SLR, and in this arrangement they can take loan from RBI at MSF. So that's why if you see in MSF, yes, can take up to 1% of NDTL. That is correct. So in this case, bank has to give extra interest rate. Why extra interest rate? Because they don't have any SLR securities available to take part in the repo operation. So in repo rate, and MSF, the process is similar, but that is called as a MSF is in case of a liquidity crunch. But in liquidity crunch, you have to pay extra money or extra interest rate. So that is the purpose. So for example, if you see all these terms like repo rate, reverse repo rate, MSF, SLR, banks go for MSF where don't have, yes, correct. This is correct. When they don't have any extra SLR available to take part in a repo, in that case only they can go to MSF. So that's why it is a marginal standing facility. It is a facility given. But if you see the rate of interest given by RBI, then MSF rate is always more than the repo rate. The purpose is same. In repo rate, yes. Yes, in repo and MSF, the process is same, but in MSF, when you don't have extra SLR securities, then only you can take part in the MSF. Hmm? Now in MSF also you have to give the collateral, hmm? but that is limited to 1% because in that case you are breaching your SLR norm. SLR norm, yes. Yes, correct. Hmm? So this is very important term. Yeah, only available to scheduled commercial bank. Yes. So generally, most of the banks, if you see now, most of the banks are scheduled commercial banks only. So can you name any bank who is not a scheduled commercial bank? There are very few banks, very few banks which are scheduled commercial banks. Like for example, Urban Cooperative Bank, Urban Cooperative Bank, or Small Finance Bank. Yes. Some UCBs, not all, not all. So, Richa, I have to see Catholic Syrian Bank. I think that might be a scheduled commercial bank because it is very old bank. I think recently it completed 100 years. You will
What I
get a
meant to
list of
say
all
is,
scheduled commercial banks. So what is the scheduled commercial bank? Can anyone tell me what is the scheduled commercial bank?
sir, all those banks which are listed in whose
Uh,
name are written in Schedule 2 of the RBI Act 1934.
okay, which is in the second schedule of the Reserve Bank of India. Yes, correct. Registered as per the second schedule. Yeah, correct. And what is the capital suggested for it? Sakshi is saying 5 lakh rupees. Okay. Prajwal 5 lakh rupees. Yes, correct. 5 lakh is the correct amount. Someone might feel that 5 lakh now it is very less amount. Yes. They have some extra benefit as well. Yes. Extra benefits means like they can take part in this repo operation, or if any case they need any extra help from the RBI will give. Like we can say, lender of the last resort. That kind of facilities are available to the scheduled commercial banks.
Sir, hello.
Yes.
Yeah, sir. When I said that it is available to scheduled commercial bank only, so sir, if we see in repo operation, like in LAF window, other than scheduled commercial bank, there are a lot of other participants like primary dealers
Yes.
and other instruments. So this MSF window is not available to them. So it's available to only for scheduled commercial bank.
Yes.
So even though all other participants like primary dealer and other participant, they have the availability of LAF window, they can't avail the MSF window. So that's what I meant to say when I said that they're
Yes.
only available for scheduled commercial.
Correct. Now I got it. In which context you were telling? Yes. So there was one news regarding the highest tax collection. So highest tax collection from various cities. So can you just guess which might be the top 3 cities in this case? Highest tax collection. That is, I'm talking about the direct tax collection. So which might be the top 3 cities? Prakhar is saying it is Bangalore. Then Vivek is saying Mumbai and Bangalore. Okay. Tell me 3 names. Yes, it is. We can just guess. Even if you haven't read in the newspaper, you can just guess based on your common understanding. Hyderabad. No, just type first 3 names. Do not type just one by one. In a single comment, na, type 3 names like first, second, and third. Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai. Okay. Yes, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Mumbai. Others can also participate. You just have to type the 3 names of the 3 cities which have the highest tax collection. So small cities, how in a small cities? Highest tax collection. Direct tax, I'm talking about direct tax. Means personal income tax as well as corporate tax. Or corporation, it is called as corporate or as well as corporation tax. Maharashtra, Delhi, Bangalore. Smriti has written the state's name, no issues. It means she wants to say Mumbai, Delhi, and Bangalore. In the next slide, we will see. Yes, so these are the cities. First is Mumbai. The amount, all figures are in crores. Means 3.2 crore, 3.2 lakh crore, 3.2 lakh crore. Yes. Standing deposit facility. So I haven't read this word standing deposit facility. Marginal standing facility. Yes. So what is this standing deposit facility? Yes, Sakshi. ऐसा टर्म मैंने नहीं सुना है, मतलब कभी स्टैंडिंग डिपॉजिट फैसिलिटी कुछ आपने गलत रीड किया होगा. बैंक्स I have to see it. No, means I have not come across such concept, standing deposit facility. Yes. So these are the cities with a highest tax collection, like Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi. So always remember, Mumbai is like, we can say, na, it is a economic capital, financial capital of our country. So if you see, Bangalore is second, and Delhi near about, both are near about similar in this year. There is a drop. If you see, there is a drop in every city except Bangalore. In Bangalore, there is a little bit increase. So what might be the reasons? What might be the reasons? No? They have not mentioned. Just I'm asking what might be the reasons. Yes, services. And if you see in this Corona time, no? Almost all the tech companies are doing good. Tech companies are doing good. Otherwise, manufacturing and other services got hampered. IT companies in Bangalore. So generally, if you see, all these cities, they have little bit presence of IT companies, like in Mumbai, Bangalore, Delhi, Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune. So you can see these are the like top 10 cities with a tax collection of 10 lakh crore rupees. So that's why these are the like giving the revenues to the government. Yes, all companies have offices in Bangalore. IT companies, no? Otherwise, rest like if you see the banks or financial institutions and other institutions, they have offices in Mumbai, mostly Mumbai. Yeah. Yes. In Bangalore, Chennai, and Hyderabad and Pune, these are like we can see software companies, hub of software companies. चलो अभी next slide पे जाते हैं. So this is the like most important news, I think, and I'm going to cover this news in detail, and we will also see the terms associated with. So Infosys to consider the buyback in April, like tomorrow it's their board meeting is there tomorrow on 14th April, and they have already informed to the SEBI. So this is the share price movement yesterday. This is the 5 years share movement. If you can see, in 2017 the price was 500. Now it's trading at a near about 1400. So this is this kind of letter they have to send to the all stock exchanges as well as the SEBI. So it's mentioned that they are going to buy back. So they have not disclosed the amount, like they have to tell the amounts at there is a cutoff date. So for example, they will mention that suppose for example 15 January. So those shareholders who have the shares of the Infosys on 15th January, they can take part in this buyback. So such kind of information they will give in tomorrow's board meeting. Yeah. So if you see, this is yesterday's. Na? I have prepared this slide yesterday. So if you see, after this news, there was a lot of momentum in the market. Like suppose if this is the in millions. Like for example, if you see the volume analysis, then yesterday near about 2 lakh crore. There was a trading of 2 lakh crore shares. 2 lakh crore shares yesterday. Otherwise, day before that, the amount was around 64 lakhs, 95 lakhs, 87 lakhs. But after the buyback, there was a lot of momentum in the market in the Infosys share. So we are going to see all the terms associated with share market. Yes, buyback. No, they are not going to delist. Delisting is different. This is a buyback. Meaning of buyback. Yeah, we are going to see in the remaining lecture. We are going to see this term in detail, in much detail. So एक term हम यहाँ पर देखते हैं. We will see each and every term associated with it. Yeah. So just see. These are the promoters. These are the promoters of the Infosys. So it is mostly most of the shares are held by the Nandan Nilekani. He is, I think, is present chairman. Then Narayan Murthy, N.R. Narayan Murthy. Then Akshata Murthy. Then second family is like Gopal Krishnan, Chris Gopal Krishnan, all these things. Narayan Murthy, Asha Dinesh. These are the top shareholders, or you can call it as a promoters or promoter groups. So buyback is from, there are 2-3 types of buybacks. Buyback is from the promoters or financial institutions. So they can buy back the shares. Yeah, Meghna Gopal Krishnan. Then Shibulal is another family who has a good hold in the Infosys. Suresh Shibulal, Manchanda Shibulal. This is second family. So just see who has the highest shareholding. So for example, if you see the Deutsche Bank, the pronunciation of this is Deutsche Bank. D-U-E-T-S-C-H-E. And you might be know that Germany is also called as a, what is the another name of Germany? Can anyone tell me? Yes, correct. Richa has given the correct answer. Germany is also called as a Deutschland. The second name of Germany is called as a Deutschland. So the 17% shares are held by the Deutsche Bank Trust Company. Like 17% is very high ratio, 17%. Then second is LIC. So if you see the balance sheet or shareholder pattern of any major company in India, LIC holds a major portion, like 5% in a company is very like major stake. Then government of Singapore. Just see that government of Singapore has also invested in the Infosys. 1 minute. Then SBI Mutual Fund, HDFC Mutual Fund. So these mutual funds are also major investor, because you know that mutual funds have lot of money with them. These mutual funds have a lot of money with them, and they invest in these blue chip companies. Blue chip companies are means like those companies which have very good potential. So these are the major shareholders of Infosys. Then we are going to see all these terms in detail. All these terms. So can anyone tell me the meaning of this term VWAP? Those who are interested in share market, or those who are like doing the trading or investing on long-term basis, they might have known this term. So what is VWAP? Can anyone tell? अगर आपको पता नहीं है, yes, volume weighted average price. Yes, correct. So Roshan has given the correct answer. V means volume weighted average price. So this kind of question might be asked in the phase 1 examination of RBI as well as SBI phase 2 or SEBI. These are the very common terms, or we can go not so common, but they might ask in the examination. So Vaishnavi and Ahan has given this is as a volume weighted average price. So can anyone tell what is the meaning of this? Volume weighted average price.
So when a share trades in the share market, secondary markets, so the price fluctuate from the like open issue to close issue a lot, and there's a lot of the volume also changes. So the weighted average, the volume weighted average price is the weighted average price the share is trading as per the volume. So you take a weighted average of volume and the price at which that volume was trading, and you come out at the price. So this price shows us the throughout the day what was the weighted average price of that particular script or particular share.
Yes, it's like same. Na, we just calculated a weighted average. So weighted average means, suppose for example there is a one trading at rupees 100, and for that 100 rupees some volume is associated, and there is another trading at rupees for example 90, and some volume is associated. Then we have to apply the weighted average formula. So that is called as a weighted average price during the whole day. So just see here, I will again explain. So volume weighted average price is a trading benchmark used by the traders that gives the average price as the security has traded throughout the day. It's based on the both volume as well as price. So suppose if there is just price, then we can just consider the price. If there are three prices, then we will add, for example, 100, 110, 120 divided by 3. But it's not a direct simple average. Like for example, suppose if you consider just we use in our mixture alligation problem. In mixture alligation, what we use, that formula that is called as a weighted average. Weighted average means for particular price, for example, if price is 100 rupees and some amount is associated, or volume we can say, then that is multiplied. For example, price into volume plus again second price into second volume and divided by total volume. That is called as a weighted price. So just consider it as a normal our weighted average. When you use this normal weighted average in your average formula, that is the same concept, but just it's a name is looking like a jargon. Volume weighted average price. Yes. It signifies that in a whole day, what was the average price of a trading? This was the price, average price. So sometimes what will happen, suppose if you just see the single volume, single price. So for example, in the morning, suppose some share is trading at rupees 90, and in the evening or in the afternoon time, it is 100. So we cannot guess just based on looking the price of a share at a single point of time. So that won't give a clear picture. So what thing will give a clear picture? This volume weighted average price during the whole day. So that value will give a clear picture of that share price. Otherwise, a single point or single value might be a misleading. So suppose for example, if you have seen the price movement of, I think, one share, I remember Satyam. If you have seen the Satyam price, I remember in 2008, for a just single moment, the price went to rupees 6. And suppose if someone has seen that value that the price is trading at rupees 6, but that was for a just momentary purpose. But if you see the whole day trading average, or volume weighted average price, then you will get a good idea like this is the benchmark. So suppose if you have to study any share price, then just see the volume weighted average price. So these are little bit uncommon terms, but like suppose if you have to understand what is a buyback of share, for that purpose, these are the important terms. So we can take acceleration.
Sir,
Yeah.
the bar graph you showed before, in which the prices have increased in just one day, I line, if the price of a stock increases beyond a certain level on a particular day, then the SEBI closes the market.
Yeah, it is called as a trigger. It is called as a trigger or circuit.
So,
So
how come then the price increased this?
So where the price has increased, na? So suppose, for example, there is some percentage fixed, for example, 10%. So 10% or 20% upward or downward movement in a day, then SEBI decide to halt the trade. It is called a circuit breaker. So sometimes it is a 10% or 20%. So 10 or 20% is like very big amount. So if you have seen this Infosys, then it is not a much change. Na? It is just, for example, if you see, so this is, I have given the 5 years picture. But if you see this one day, last day, then there was just a 0.6% moment in a day. So 10% is very rare case. 10% is very rare case. And then SEBI decides the like percentage, like 5% or 10% or 20%. Yeah. Then we will go to the second term, that is below this WVAP. It is called as a market capitalization. So can anyone tell me what is the market capitalization? So let other students give the answer. Those who haven't given answer till date or till today's this time, allow them to give answer. What is market capitalization? Number of shares into price of the share. Yes, market capitalization, very simple term. Market capitalization means number of outstanding share. You can say number of outstanding shares which are in the market. Yeah, it is called as a, yes, free float, total market value of the share. Number of shares into the today's price. So what is 20-day average volume? So below that, there is a third term, 20-day average volume. Name itself suggests the meaning. Name itself suggests the meaning, 20-day average volume and 20-day average delivery. Value of a company that is being traded. So can anyone tell me what is the 20-day average volume? The name itself gives the meaning that, for example, on a single day, suppose there might be a fluctuation in the volume. But suppose if you really want to study the average volume of this particular stock for the previous 20 days, then you will get a clear picture. But there is another term below that, it is called as a 20-day average delivery. So can anyone tell me the difference between these two terms? Like what is the average volume and average delivery? So why there is a difference between these two numbers or these two figures?
So sir, whenever there is a trading happening or the
Yes.
buying and selling of the share on stock exchange is taking place, so not everybody is intending to hold that share.
Yes, correct.
So this 20-day average delivery tells us that how many shares that got hold, that got delivered to the other person's demat account, rather than just taking place on the share market on the particular intraday trading. So this 20-day average volume tells us about all those share also which just got traded in intraday. There was no delivery involved.
Yes.
While 20-day average delivery tells us about that the
Yes.
average number of shares that got delivered.
Yes, you are absolutely correct. The difference is because some of you might have heard the term is called as a intraday. So intraday means, for example, in intraday, or it is sometimes you might have listen the term, it is called as a short selling. So short selling is that, for example, suppose if you sell the share, hmm, you sell the share without having that share in your demat account. So it's just an accounting entry. You sell it share. So suppose, for example, in the morning you sell at 120 rupees, and in the evening it is automatically you have to buy it. And suppose in the evening, that in the afternoon the share price is suppose 100 rupees, then you are selling at rupees 120 and buying at rupees 100 rupees. So it means that your profit is 20 rupees. So these kind of shares or these kind of transactions are not taken into consideration delivery. So delivery means there is an actual transfer of share. In delivery, the shares are transferred from A account to B account. It is called as a delivery. Otherwise, there might be many transactions which are happening on intraday. So they are just buying and selling. There is no actual transfer of share. So transfer of share happens after the closing of the market. So there is actual delivery of particular share from one account to another account. That's why the delivery number is always less than the volume number. So based on that, you will understand how many intraday operations are or transactions are happening on that particular day. So now the fourth term is very important term. I think some of you might have heard or studied in your, suppose if you are from the commerce background or management background. So tell me, what is the beta? So what is the beta?
So beta tells about like how much a particular stock is volatile as compared to the market.
Yes, Smriti and Vaishnavis are saying it is related to risk. Yes, it is related to risk. It is little bit related to risk. So we will see. So signifies stock volatility. Stock volatility with compared to whom? But
Hello, sir.
yes, with respect to market, correct. So this 0.75 signifies that suppose if in the market, suppose if market is fluctuating by some percentage, suppose some percentage, then this stock, this Infosys stock is moving or fluctuating 75% of that. 75% of that. So suppose just consider if there is a 10% upward movement in the market. We are talking about market as a whole. If there is a 10% upward movement in the market, then this stock or this Infosys stock will move by 7.5%. So why this beta and how this beta value will be useful for an investor? So can anyone tell me why this beta value is useful when you want to invest in a particular stock? So Muskan is telling that high beta gives high return, but high beta will give higher loss also. So for example, on particular day, suppose if Nifty lost by 100 point or 1%, then this stock will lose by 0.75%. No, it's not related to the customer's faith in the company. Na? It's like correlation. You can say it is a correlation. Correlation of this stock with respect to the market. With respect to market. Yes. So whether this beta value is always positive or it might be a negative. So my question is, this beta is 0.75. Yes, can be a negative. Negative means, so suppose if market is going up, then this share will go down. So those who are active on market, they might have seen this feature or this beta, negative beta. Negative beta means this stock will always move in opposite direction to the market. Yes, opposite to the market. So there are some specific stock. So suppose if you want to minimize your risk, if you want to minimize your risk, then in your portfolio, you can have some scripts or shares having positive beta and some stocks having negative beta, so that na, in case of risk, so there might be some profit, there might be some loss, so you can hedge. Pushpender, you are correct, it is called as a hedging strategy. So this beta is very useful for the mutual funds, because in mutual funds they have a basket of hundreds of stocks. So while selecting, they select some stocks having beta positive, some stocks having negative beta. So we will see some little bit theory related to it. So we have seen just this term, market capitalization. Okay, so micro capitalization is very simple. It's just multiplication of number of outstanding shares into the share price. So we have seen this average volume, average delivery, then beta. So if you want to see just the theoretical definition of beta is a numeric value that measures the fluctuation of a stock to changes in the overall stock market. So we just have seen this concept. It's like comparison with the overall market. So can anyone tell me what is this formula? Has anyone seen this formula? Yes. So what is the name of this? Yeah, CAPM, correct. देखो अगर आप just those candidates ना who are new and those who have done commerce background, management background, so it will never happen that if I am asking some question that no one will know. So some of the candidates will know everything. So it is called as a CAPM. CAPM means capital asset pricing model. बिल्कुल difficult नहीं है. It is very easy. I will just explain. So what this formula suggests or shows. 1 minute. So it is expected return. So expected return on any share price. This model, that is capital asset pricing model, by using which you can calculate how much return you can expect from a particular share. So the formula is very simple. So this is risk-free rate. So what is the risk-free rate? Can anyone explain what is the risk-free rate? So it is simple formula. On left hand side, there is one term that is called as expected return. On right hand side, there are two terms. First is risk-free rate plus beta into market risk premium. And just remember that finance and management is the easiest subject of RBI grade B preparation. लेकिन क्या है कि many students feel that this is hardest. But if you see the marks of the selected candidates, then you will observe that lot of students have scored 80, 85, 90, 95 marks, because it is very scientific, very conceptual, syllabus is limited. On other side, like ESI is like very vast. But while reading, you will find ESI or topics related to ESI, economic and social issues are easier, but this finance and management difficult. So risk-free rate means the return you are getting on the government securities, because on government securities there is a zero risk, or we can say as a minimal risk. Does this apply to SEBI student? Yes, everything. Samiksha, this applies to the SEBI students as well. And even SBI PO mains also. SBI PO mains also, because these are the very basic terms. And nowadays, if you have seen the questions asked in the financial awareness, banking awareness, or general awareness, then those questions were very difficult. So I have got feedback from the RRB PO students, RRB scale 2 students, that their questions were very difficult, like RBI GATB examination. So this is very common term. Risk-free rate is like very common term. Anyone in any examination, there might be questions related to these concepts. Risk-free rate means that interest rate or return you are getting on a government securities. Why it is risk-free? Because we cannot say it's zero risk, but very minimal risk is there. So the expected return on any stock is equal to the risk-free rate plus beta into market risk premium. So beta means what? Beta we have seen, like in Infosys case, the beta was 0.75. So what is the meaning of this 1.25 beta? So can anyone explain me what beta of 1.25 signifies? So what is the meaning of 1.25 beta? Yes, it reacts more than market. So suppose if market is up by, for example, 2%, if market is up by 2%, then up by 2.5%, because its beta is 1.25, and it is not an exact, it is a historical figure. So we cannot calculate on daily basis, like for example, if market move by 4%, then the share will be 5%. It's like average of the previous 4, 5, or 10 years. It's a historical figure. It's a historical. So this is a graph. So this graph is like, for example, risk-free rate, like this is a line. It is called as a security market line, SML. And don't worry about that. If suppose if someone is finding this little bit technical, then don't worry about, because we are going to cover these in special our lectures, like those who are specially designed for the finance and management. Now it's related to our news, because unless and otherwise you understand all these things, it is difficult to understand the buyback of shares. So this is risk-free rate, and this is a beta and risk premium. So risk-free rate is normally taken as the yield on long-term government bonds. So risk premium means how much extra you are getting, more than the risk-free rate. It is called as a risk premium. So now our next term is a face value. So can anyone tell me what is the face value? In this case, the face value of Infosys share is ₹5. Face value of Infosys share is ₹5. So what is the meaning of this face value? Yes, someone? So value of share in the books of a company. Then what is this book value per share? So book value per share is different and face value is different. Yes, face value means original value of a stock when it was issued to the public. When it was issued to the public. Yes, value on which the dividend is calculated. Yes. So dividend is always calculated on a face value. So sometimes there might be misconception among students. Suppose if company is giving dividend of, for example, 20%. So 20% is not on the market price of that share. So 20% is on the face value. So in this case, 20% dividend from the Infosys means ₹1 per share. So face value, suppose if there is an IPO, if IPO is coming, then they generally in the prospectus you see this face value. So face value is the original value at the time of issue of that share. It is called as a face value. And then these kind of questions they might ask in any bank interview. Suppose if you are appearing for the IBPS PO interview, and recently just in the yesterday's newspaper, if there was a news related to buyback of share, then they can ask to you that what is the face value, and these are the very basic terms expected from the all banking aspirants. So our next term is TTM EPS. So can anyone tell me what is the TTM EPS? TTM EPS and TTM PE. TTM EPS and TTM. Yes, trailing 12 months earning price. Yes, trailing का मतलब है, trailing means previous 12 months. Yes, because this value is also very important, because sometimes suppose if you see the value at particular point of time, then it won't give you the clear picture. So for that, TTM EPS or TTM PE means the trailing 12 months price. So trailing 12 months means at this point of, suppose if this is April, then you have to see the average price of the previous 12 months. Yeah. EPS for the last 12 months, and TTM is P. We will see what is the EPS and PE. Yeah. So face value and market value. So I have written here some differences, like it is remains unaffected by the market condition, and market value is like depending upon the market. And this face value is decided by the company. Company can decide any face value. Then its nominal value of a stock at the time of issuance, it can be calculated as face value determined by the company. So market value means it is trading at the stock exchange, and face value is remains same. So trailing 12 months is a term used to describe the past 12 consecutive months for a company's performance data that's used for the reporting financial figures. So it is not related to fiscal year. You can calculate this TTM at any point of time. Yeah. So now we are at a very important concept that is called as a book value per share. Just we saw this in this term, book value per share. So what is the meaning of this book value per share? So can anyone tell me what is the book value per share? Yes, चलो बताओ book. What is the book value per share? देखो ये बहुत ही बेसिक टर्म्स है, सिर्फ सुनने में जार्गन लगते हैं. These terms are very common terms. Book value per share. चलो कोई तो भी होगा यहाँ पर from the commerce management background. Total equity shares divided by total outstanding shares of the company. Firm's equity number of shares. Okay. बुक वैल्यू आपने सुना नहीं है कि किसी ने? व्हाट इज बुक वैल्यू? इसमें क्या होता है ना यहाँ पर कि जैसे बराबर आपने लिखा है कि रेशियो ऑफ इक्विटी अवेलेबल टू कॉमन शेयर होल्डर्स. इक्विटी मीन्स जो आपका टोटल बिजनेस का इक्विटी है वो. यस, या assets value created on behalf of per share. Correct. Book value का मतलब है books यानी कि books of that company, books यानी कि balance sheet, divided by the number of outstanding shares. This figure represents the minimum value of a company's equity and measured the book value of a firm on per share basis. So इसका मतलब ये होता है, for example अगर कंपनी का if companies, if you have to find the actual worth of a company on the books, on the balance sheet, then you have to multiply this book value per share into the number of outstanding shares. तो आपको क्या पता चलेगा? बुक वैल्यू ऑफ शेयर. दो टाइप का वैल्यू होता है. देयर आर टू टाइप्स ऑफ शेयर प्राइजेस. वन इज written in the books and one is the traded in the market. And we will see why there is a difference between the book value and the market value. So book value is a very simple, like book value means the value of that share in the books of that company. Books means balance sheet. So all of you have understood this. Okay, we will see first this comparison. After that, you will understand. So what is the book value and what is the market value? So book value is the sum of shareholders would receive in an event that the firm was liquidated. So iska matlab hai, suppose if the company has decided to liquidate the firm, then after selling, means you can call it as a net worth divided by number of shares. So all the tangible assets were sold and all the liabilities were paid. So it's actually the worth of a company. No, face value is very different. Face value in this case, the face value of Infosys share will be ₹5 every time. That won't change. But the book value is depend upon your net worth. So book value means it's very simple term. For example, suppose if today Infosys has decided to close down its business. So suppose if you want to close down this business, then first of all, they have to pay their liabilities. And after paying liabilities, if suppose they have 100 crore rupees and they there are 1,000, for example, 1 crore shareholders, then this value 100 crore is equally distributed among the shareholders. Shareholders means, for example, owners. That is called as a book value per share. So in simple terms, book value means assets minus liabilities. That is net worth. Net worth divided by number of shares. So suppose if Infosys has decided to close down this business, then first of all, they have to pay the liabilities. If suppose there are loans and anything extra, and that remaining value, they have to distribute among all shareholders. This value is called as a book value per share. Yes, correct. Common shareholders. Common shareholders means normal shareholders. So there are preference shareholders are also there. So what is preference shareholders means? In case of liquidation or in case of a distribution of a dividend, these shareholders will get a preference. And generally, whenever you talk about any shareholder, then those are the common shareholders. Common shareholder means those who have purchased shares in the stock exchanges. So it is name given as common shareholders. But in general terms, when you utter a word shareholder, it means it is a common shareholder. So in this case, the value of Infosys share book value per share is 154. So for example, suppose if today Infosys is liquidating, then each shareholder will get a 154 rupees. But for example, let us consider, then tell me why, if the actual share price as per the balance sheet of Infosys rupees 150, then why people are paying 10 times? Is currently it is trading at a 1500. So can anyone tell me the actual value of a Infosys share as per their balance sheet is 150 rupees? Then why investors or shareholders are paying 10 times money for purchase of an Infosys share? So can anyone explain me the logic of this? So there is always risk. Suppose, for example, in case of Kingfisher, yes, what Muskan has given the correct answer, because of the growth prospects. Yes, premium paid. So why they are paying 10 times? Because they know that this company is growing company. They will receive the dividends in future. They will, their share price might increase in the future. Because if you have seen the historical figure of this Infosys share, it was issued at rupees, I think 1 or 2 in 1991. And the persons or investor who has invested, for example, 1,000 rupees at that time, now their worth is more than 100 crores. So this is the potential of any company. So that's why people are giving premium. Why they are giving premium? Because they are having the faith in this share. So if you see any news related to the share market, so there are some stocks which are always discussed, like for example, Reliance Industries Limited, RIL. Then Infosys share is there, TCS share is there. So these are very famous shares among the investors. So this is the book value per share. No, this is face value is at present 5. This is present face value. So sometimes there might be a split is there. So some bonus shares are there. So that rupees 1 was the initial face value at the time, like 1991. So now the face value is rupees 5. At present face value is rupees 5. So these are the yesterday's figures. ये कल का screenshot लिया था मैंने. Yeah. So now our second, yes, next term is, what is EPS? Can anyone tell me? Earning per share. The meaning is given itself in the word earning per share. So can anyone type? So what is the earning per share? Earning per share क्या होता है बताइए? Yes, Tushar, Roshan, Richa. Net profit, outstanding shares. EAT, we can call it as a EAT or PAT. Profit after tax divided by number of shares. It's very simple. So for example, if this year Infosys profit is 100 crore, then we can keep 100 crore in the numerator, and in the denominator number of outstanding shares. The meaning is simple. How much is the earning for per share? So this value is very important. So we cannot judge anything from just looking after the profit made by their company. So for example, if one company's profit is 100 crore and second company's profit is 100 crore, but we have to see how many outstanding shares are there, how much company earns per share. Company, or we can say investor or shareholder. So what is the earning capacity of per share? It is called as a earning per share or EPS. Yes. Yeah. So earning per share is calculated by taking net income earned by a corporate and dividing it by the number of outstanding share, or in simple terms, it is the PAT. PAT यानी कि profit after tax. After paying tax, we have to divide by number of shares. Yes. Okay. The second term is like PE. Generally, when you read, then PE and EPS are related terms. So what is the PE? Yeah, current market price. Yes. PE. PE means market price divided by EPS. So what is the significance of this PE? So for example, in this case, the PE of Infosys is 32. Suppose PE of Infosys is 32. Just consider 30. So what is the meaning of that PE? So PE of a 30 means what? No, so that you are telling me for what purpose PE is used. Okay? Yes, that is correct. But just by looking after a PE of a single company, we cannot consider it as a value and overvalued or undervalued. So just looking a PE figure of a single company or particular company, we cannot say is it a overvalued or undervalued. For that, what we have to do? Correct, sir. We have to look at industry. Correct, Roshan. Yes, yes. So just looking after the PE of Infosys, we cannot say it is overvalued or undervalued. We have to compare. So we have to compare the PE of Infosys with some other competitors like TCS or Capgemini or Wipro and sector PE. So that's why if you see the sector PE means the PE of IT industry is 35 and PE of Infosys is 32. So as compared to industry, the PE is less. So but the main question is that what PE indicates. Yes, we can say it as undervalued. Yes. So what is the meaning of a PE? Yeah. So suppose for example, one company's PE is 10 rupees or 10. PE is a ratio, so we cannot call it as a PE in rupees. Yes, how much people are willing to pay as compared to earning per share. So for example, the PE of a company is rupees 10, is 10, ratio 10. It means that to earn a 1 rupee, I am willing to pay 10 times. So investor is ready to pay 10 times the earning from that share. So that's why PE is market value divided by earning per share. So for example, suppose earning per share of a company is rupees 10 and market value of that company is 100. So it means that even if I am earning 10 rupees from that share, I am ready to pay 100 rupees to buy that share. So the meaning of PE is that. But just by looking after a PE, so it doesn't mean that suppose PE of a company is 2, then it is a good company. Of some PE of some other company is rupees 50, then it is a bad company. So for that, we have to understand, we have to see previous track record. So previous track record of that company, and based on that, we can decide. So now after looking after so many terms, now we are at a main important question: why Infosys is buying back the shares? So first of all, just understand the reverse process of that. So what is the reverse process of buying back of share? So buyback of a share. So what is the reverse of a buyback of share? Yes, correct. Smriti has given correct answer, issue of a share. So suppose if company is issuing a share, so what is the purpose of that issuing of a share? To raise a funding for company. So for example, if Infosys has many plans of, if suppose they have to invest in some profit making project, then they will issue share. So issue of share means giving certificates or share to public and taking the money from that and investing that money in a profitable project. So here what is happening? So they are doing the reverse process. So buying back of a share. So what is the meaning of this process, or what is the logic behind this? So now we'll understand. Suppose if you have understood the reverse process, yes, Richa, correct. So they have an excess cash. So they have an excess cash means that, so indirect meaning of having excess cash is that they don't have any profitable avenues available. Yes, Muskan has given the another way of looking at. They want to take a control. So that is another reason. So the first reason we are looking. So suppose if a company has a huge amount in their books, so they have a lot of cash, but they don't have any good project available so that they can earn a good profit from that. So instead of keeping that money idle in their accounts, what they are doing, so they are giving the money to the shareholders and buying back those shares. So this is the first reason. So second reason might be that, so suppose issuing of a share means what I am doing, I am diluting my ownership. My means the promoters. So the promoters are diluting their ownership. Now what they want to do, they want to take the more ownership of a company. In that case, what they will do, they will buy back of a share, because their percentage holding will increase after the buying back. So what might be the another reason? So we have seen the two reasons. One is they have a idle cash, they don't have any profitable avenues, so that's why they are giving the money and buying back the share. So second is they want to increase the ownership. So what might be the another reason? So what might be the another reason? Yes, correct. Karan has also given the correct answer, to induce the confidence in the existing shares. So suppose if promoters are giving thousands of crores of rupees to the shareholders and they are buying back, it indirectly gives the positive signal to the market that we have a faith in our company and we are ready to buy back our shares. So this will show that company is in a strong financial. Yes, company is in profit, correct. So there are also some other reasons. Want to subject it to lesser regulation. Yes, there is another, yes, regulation. Yes, I remember. There is a dividend distribution tax. So suppose, for example, if company has 10,000 rupees in their accounts, yes, Ninad is correct. DDT means dividend distribution tax. If suppose if they want to distribute a tax or dividend, then there is a income, there is a DDT, dividend distribution tax on that dividend. So instead of doing that, what they are giving, they are buying back of a share. So it will give benefit to both the shareholders, like those who want to surrender their shares to the company and those who don't want to surrender to the share company. Okay, so instead of giving the dividends, what they are doing, they are buying back of a share to decrease the tax. Yes, so DDT, the same I have explained. So there is another reason. So for example, if you see the PE of a share, PE. PE means in that case, earning per share or EPS, you have to divide by the outstanding share. So in this case, if you are reducing the outstanding shares, then this ratio will increase. So because of that, sometimes there might be a manipulation from the company also. So let us see. Now they are just given the intimation to the stock exchange that they want to buying back of share, but tomorrow there is a board meeting, and in that board meeting they might explain the reason behind the buying back of a share. So that's why I have taken this news in so much detail that there are lot of terms associated with this, and you will regularly read the news clippings about this in next 3-4 days. So that's why I think this news is so much important for our basic understanding as well as for the current affairs. Yes, Suvarna, are you there? So do you have any questions or doubts related to it? Yeah, yes. Muskan, you can ask. Okay, no issues. Yeah, you can ask.
Recently, RBI is about the monthly its reports. Then they mention about the GSEP. I am confused. What's the difference between the GSEP and OMO?
Once again, repeat your question.
The RBI recently had published its report, and it mentions about the GSEP. I have bit confusion regarding the difference between GSEP and OMO because I found it almost same.
No, actually, in my lecture, yesterday, day before yesterday, I have conducted one lecture on this monetary policy, and some student have commented that, sir, you have not covered this area. So I am actually in my next lecture, or I will upload a separate lecture on that because this is a very broad topic. Hmm? Yeah. So I am actually in process of preparing the PPTs for this because this is a very broad topic, and in my next lecture I will cover everything related to this. Yeah.
Sir, can I answer this question in a short while, if you may
Yeah,
permit?
you can answer, but this is like very broad topic. So
Correct,
I have
sir, yeah.
prepared the PPTs. So it will take around at least 30 to 40 minutes to cover it. So suppose
Definitely,
if you
yeah.
have to add something from your side, then you are welcome.
No, I just thought of just letting her know that earlier when RBI was issuing OMO, this is based on the market need. So RBI won't have any schedule for buying or selling the government securities. So this won't give the assurity to the people who are actually buying the government bonds, and that's why the yield were increasing because there was no taker for the government bonds. This time, what RBI has said that they have come up with a calendar that don't worry about that. It's not like based on the liquidity scenario in the market that will be buying or selling the bond. We'll in first quarter will go for 1 lakh crore of worth of security. We'll be buying it. So you don't worry about that. So they have come up with a calendar.
Actually, it's not like a different thing, but they just have given a name for that.
Correct, sir. So
they have given a name.
Correct.
So that's why it's number one. They have given one.
Correct, sir. So they said ki we'll be doing it for more. So the earlier compared to OMO is not a certain thing based on liquidity requirement. What is the market scenario?
It's like uncertain. It's like
Correct,
uncertain
sir.
Based on the market scenario. Correct.
But GSAP, they have given some certainty that don't worry, we'll buy bonds of rupees 1 lakh crore in quarter 1, and similarly we'll be doing for the rest of the year. So that's the only difference as far as the mechanism is concerned.
So there is not a difference on a conceptual terms. It is similar, but they just have given a specific name to that.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. No, don't worry about that. I am going to cover it in much detail. Yes. So now it's already 1:30. Should we finish today's lecture? So anyone from technical side here? Suvarna? One minute. What is chatting? Yeah. So Shraddha, can we close today's lecture?
Yes, sir. But sir, the thing is, I feel very like I cannot get the discussion which is going over there, and it's very hard for me to understand the terms and the.
No, so that's why in between I have told that now this is like current affairs related lecture. So I know that some students are like very eager to eager to learn all the concepts in a day one. So that won't happen, no, because this is the first lecture itself. So now these terms will come every day in our discussion. We will cover in our recorded videos. We will cover in our notes, MCQs, everything. So like for example, now suppose when I started learning driving, then you all have same experience that on day one we have a thought that I should be able to drive like expertly on the same day. But it will take a time. It's like a learning and it's not a event. So by slowly you will feel comfortable. Hmm? So don't worry about that part. So we will going to cover this term again and again. Hmm? Again and again. And whenever if you have some specific doubt, then write an email so that I will give you some basic reading, some basic images, some basic videos so that you will understand. So this is like now just today now we discussed the whole stock market, and it's very difficult to understand whole stock market. And I am not means I will also consider myself as a not 100% I know that everything. So for me also it's like a learning process. Now the government every day government issues new things, so we have to, it's like process, we have to learn all the things on daily basis. Hmm? So not on my not on my email ID. You can mail on our like official email ID or Exambi email ID. So they will send the all your queries to me, and I will be available for you. Hmm? So don't worry about that. Even if you don't understand some specific concepts in a lecture, we are going to cover in a multiple ways. Like when suppose when you will understand that you have cleared this concept through MCQ. When you solve MCQs, then you will understand the basic nitty-gritties related to that concept. So don't worry about that. And even if you have some serious doubt, then you can email to them, and we can connect on mobile also. Yeah. So don't
Yes,
worry.
sir.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that RBI officers, when they go for inspection in a bank branch, their job is to analyze the authenticity of balance sheet. So balance sheet, it's just like black ink on a white paper, like there are numbers written.
Yes.
How do they judge whether it's like fake or manipulated numbers or not to the real?
No, balance sheet means there are supporting papers. So I myself work in a inspection department of the RBI, and I inspected 30 banks. So based on that report, sometimes if I found that these are the wrong figures, then I have fined that bank like 10 lakh rupees, 15 lakh rupees. So it's not like a single paper. So balance sheet means there are asset and liabilities. For that, suppose if you see how many papers are there, so there might be a thousands or lakhs of papers are there. So balance sheet you have to understand based on a sampling purpose. So for example, I will just give you example. So suppose in a particular bank there are suppose 1 crore accounts. So it's impossible for me to check those 1 crore accounts. So what I will do, I will first take top 50 accounts. Then I will make such bifurcation. I will select randomly 50 files or 100 files. On based on that, I will check. So you will get all papers. So suppose, for example, if they have mentioned that our investment in SLR securities 24%. So you cannot believe on that 24%. You will ask them, please show me the papers. So they will show you the papers, then you will verify it. So for example, suppose if they say that our NPA is 10%, then I have to check by asking the supporting papers. So it's not like that. And those balance sheets are the audited balance sheets. Audited balance sheet means by the statutory auditors, like those who are CA. So chartered accountants have verified that. And if some particular chartered accountant has given the false information or false audit, then RBI and ICAI can cancel their license. So it's not like so easy to give the false statement.
Just on that note, it is. I need to ask one more thing. It is related to Diwan Housing Finance Limited.
DHFL.
Well, it is 1 year back news. Actually, there was a whole of 15,000 crore in their balance sheet, and because it is a deposit taking NBFC, so there
Yes.
were more strict guidelines on it from
Yes.
RBI, and also it was in capital market, like in the stock market. So there were SEBI eyes on it too.
Correct.
But
Correct.
still, the case was that they have taken 15,000 crore from Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, and they were sending that money to a shell corporation. So
Yes.
that thing was happening for a long time. Then how come when there are two regulators' eyes on it and they are getting,
But suppose if you see such kind of frauds are regularly happening in the economy. So suppose if you see the Punjab National Bank fraud, then what recently happened in PMC Bank, in Punjab National Bank, in Yes Bank. So it's like very impossible for the all the regulators to keep a watch on everything. So you might have heard. So Sahara case, you know that was a very he has contacts with the all the politicians. So the cases are there, but sometimes you know that if some people are related to politicians, then you know that Nirav Modi case is there, Vijay Mallya case is there, and still they are not in behind the bars. So our legal system, our regulators are not that much active on these fronts. So that's why what you are saying is correct. Is why such things are happening, because lot of money are involved. Like for example, 15,000 crores are involved. But if you see regularly on every month, you read some kinds of frauds are happening. So you know that when you are going to bank for account opening, they ask so many documents from us. Then common people have doubt that why then they are not taking so much care while giving 1,000 crore or 500 crore or 1,000 crores of loan to the corporates. So that are the lacunas in our system. So that's why, because we have a limited resources, and our officers, like if you see SEBI or RBI, those officers are not that much brilliant than these fraudsters. So if you see like Harshad Mehta scam or Ketan Parekh scam or Nirav Modi scam, so these people are more brilliant than the government officers. And you know that what is the incentive for any officers? So tell me, suppose if I am an officer in a Reserve Bank of India, my salary was 2 lakh rupees per month. So even if I do a normal work or brilliant work, I will get the same amount of salary. Then why, if you see, there is a lot of lethargy among these government officers. They don't take any action from their side. They just do their simple work. So suppose if you pay some additional amount or incentive for finding the faults or frauds, then people will take interest in that. So otherwise there is no incentive or no motivation for any officers to take a suo moto action on that. So I myself work in RBI, and lot of times I have found the mishappenings in the bank. But if some politician is involved in that, so that's why I could not take any action, not my seniors or not even a governor of RBI. So you know that in our economy, or if you take any example, you take example from England also, UK, USA. So if some politicians are involved in that, so no one is going to take action on that. So it will happen on regular basis.
Sir, with due respect, like I have a different take on this one. Like
Yes.
you are correct, yeah, what you're saying. But the thing is that as a regulator, like as we are seeing that we want the economy to be as independent and as market oriented as possible,
Correct.
right? So as a regulator, RBI and SEBI can always have checks and balances in the system. So they can build a robust system, but all these systems are built on loyalty, trust,
Yes,
and
correct.
integrity. So even like the regulators such as RBI or SEBI, they don't have the capability, or so they can only work on improving the system. They cannot work on the efficacy of the system, like people who are working, who are
Yes,
actually
correct.
finding
example,
loopholes in the
suppose
system.
if you have seen that Punjab National Bank fraud, it was based on the Swift messaging system.
Correct.
But no one paid attention to that system, that through Swift there might be some fraud. So actually what is happening now, if you see this game of a police and a thief, then actually police is lacking behind. So after there is a fraud, then RBI will understand. So after there is a fraud, then SEBI will understand. So if you
Correct,
see the establishment of SEBI, so it was because of the Harshad Mehta scam. So Harshad, because of the Harshad Mehta scam, earlier SEBI doesn't have any power. But after that SEBI's Harshad Mehta scam, then whole system got revamped. So this will, every time it will happen, the fraudster will find a new way to do a fraud. So now there won't be any fraud in the system. They will find a new way. So that's why it's like very impossible. We can minimize these frauds, but we cannot eliminate it. We cannot eliminate because these people are very brilliant. They will find a new way to to steal the money from the public. So now it's, I think it's like a lot of time. I have to go to one important work. It's like crime has committed. Yes, during Harshad Mehta scam, SEBI was watchdog. Yes, yes. After that, now there was a, they passed a law and they gave a lot of powers to SEBI. Earlier it was like just an statutory organization. Yes. So now we will finish and we will take after some time now we will find some system through which we can decide the topics. So I know that very lot of important news are happening, but we will find some system or a way through which we can listen to your topics, which are important topics to be covered, and based on that we will decide which topic should I cover. And remaining topics I will cover in recorded format or in the notes format or in the videos format. So don't worry about that because I am following this exam since last 8 to 10 years. So I have a lot of understanding about this examination. So you just follow what we are telling you. So then in that case, you will be in a position to crack this examination. So thank you very much for your time. Yeah. Okay, bye-bye.